alone. I've said it before and I'll say it 1,000 more times as long as we continue. We can survive alone. We cannot thrive alone.
Yeah.
We can't. And that's not any personal thing. Humans were designed and developed in community. Back in the day, we were surrounded by community all the time. If I start singing in the middle of this, I apologize in advance.
Why?
Why would I start singing? Because now that song's in my head.
No, why are you apologizing?
Oh, it's like you'll be talking and I'll just be like over here grooving to a goofy movie. Stand out above the crowd, even if you gotta shout out loud.
I got scared there for a second because I didn't know where that. I was like, it sounds like it's from the Goofy movie. I was afraid that I lost my 90s card there for a hot minute.
I'm not gonna lie. I was like, maybe I'm the only one. But then when Justin was like singing, he was like, no, I know what this. What this is.
We felt like, or like, okay, I'm grounded. I'm not nuts. So
yeah, I'm like, really? Because it came on and I was like, okay, Spotify, we gonna be like that then. Like, Ed asked me yesterday. He's like, since you're the first one I'm seeing today. Ed is also our DJ in addition to our finance manager. He was like, you get to pick the music. Like, what era of music do you want to hear today?
Oh, that's not what you guys were talking about yesterday? Okay.
And I was like, I don't know. And he was like, okay. And I'm like, well, what I was going to listen to was 90s Disney hits. Like, I'm like in a sing-along kind of mood.
Yeah.
But I don't think we want that blasting through the office.
There's nothing PG-13 about a Disney movie.
No, I just didn't know everybody would want to be, one, hearing it, and then two, hearing me sing along to it. So I left it in my headphones today, and then so I've been singing all morning long.
I don't think it's not like lullaby music or Little Einsteins where it's like very piercing over time.
Right.
Disney. I'm going to write that into the company policy that you can listen to Disney. Yeah, you can do sing-along music anytime. Stories and success and stuff. Today, it's Kristelle. Today, we've got Jace Downey as our co-host. Specific topic for today is going to be community and its impact on success. Very excited about that. And also maybe even Disney songs and maybe even the rise and fall of Livewire, the artist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We seem to talk about Disney or reference it enough because one of the AI generators in going through our episode included Disney references in the description. I had to take them out. I was like, that's not really the priority of this episode, robots, but thank you. So now we have a theme going, apparently.
It's like I don't know if you've heard about the AI hallucinations.
Yes.
Yeah, there must have been an AI hallucination. Yeah. Okay, so
just terrifying.
Disney actually has a community on itself.
True story.
Really good topic. Why did we choose this topic today? Because very much a part of the success of Siarza, but you have to think about. Okay, so do you consider yourself part of the Disney community?
No.
I would say that I'm in the peripheral.
Okay.
I support my friend that's a Disney adult. I'm very much.
We all have them in our lives.
Oh my gosh, do we have? Yeah. Okay, so tell me about yours. I'll tell you about mine.
I'll tell you yours if you tell me mine.
Who's your Disney adult?
It was an ex of mine.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh.
And I should have known because I went over to his mom's house for dinner or something at one point, and the whole kitchen, they had like the cabinets where there's space on the top. Uh-huh. It was all lined with Disney nostalgia items, and there was like all this stuff. There was like a whole board that had pins, Disney pins, which is apparently a thing to collect.
Yeah, just like hot air balloons. Yeah.
Yes, 100% like that. And there were just all these signs all around. And I was like, that's an interesting way to decorate your house as an adult person. But all right. And then later in dating, he left for 3 weeks to do their annual Disney trip.
I can understand a weekend.
For 3 weeks.
That's a lot.
Yeah, they stay on site. They're part of the secret club, and you get all these benefits. And if you like keep raising up higher and higher in the club, there are like secret places within Disney. It's kind of like Scientology in a way. Like the longer you're in it, the more you pay, like the more special benefits you get.
Oh man.
Yeah, and it was like a whole.
So wait. Did he go to Disney World or Disneyland?
That one was Disney World, I think. I think they were in Orlando.
Okay, yeah. No,
but they do both.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that's too much. Well, like to each their own. I try to live non-judgmentally, but I'm like, you're going to take all of your vacation for the whole year to go
to Disney
to
World.
Disney.
So my Disney adult is one of my bridesmaids, Fia. Amazing woman, and I'm actually very supportive of the Disney adult. And I actually started to follow some of the Instagrammers that are Disney adults. Like, I found out that they had a jalapeno stuffed corn dog before because of the Disney adult culture. It's a culture, 100% a culture.
Yes.
And what was really cool about Fia, like I see it as her happy place, and I get it because when we went after the pandemic, because it was super cheap to go,
right?
You know, very careful. You have to be very careful, of course, but it's super cheap to go, and all the hacks and finding it and enjoying everything with her. It was probably one of the best Disneyland experiences I've ever had. But the one thing I thought was really cool. She knew the ultimate Easter egg. That's the ultimate VIP experience. That was like the last thing on her list. Because every Disney adult has like, I don't know why we're talking about this community, but I promise I have
in the mix now. It's true. I gotta know.
So at the end of this massive list, she wanted to go to a place called 21 Royals.
Yep.
Have you heard of it?
Yep.
Okay. 21 Royals is like the upper echelon of VIP status, right? And so. And I giggle because it sounds ridiculous, but when like I actually went through this Instagram rabbit hole looking at 21 Royals, the engineer who runs the place is like one of the sweetest guys you'll ever meet, that you feel like you want him as your next door neighbor. And then at 21 Royals, they have the 12 person like 10-course meal. And she went with 12 people. Those are her friends for life now. Yeah. Right? They'll never forget this experience. And they're in Walt Disney's, like, the experiences and the memories that she enjoyed at 21 Royals, I was just living so vicariously through her. It was crazy.
I can always get behind a big meal. But what it takes to get there is a lot.
Oh, yeah. She had her curls. Like, she curled her hair just to make sure she looked perfect. And she looked perfect. Perfect for her 21
Well, I mean, even to get access to that, you have to like dedicate life to being part of that. Like the amount of times you have to go, the things you have to collect, the stuff you have to do, the money that goes into it. Yeah. There is something to be said about investing in something you're passionate about. And I think that is indeed where community comes in mind.
Yeah, there was a whole point to all this.
We don't bring it back around. We don't come back, not just to admit like, hi, I'm Jace and I'm a Disney adult enabler. Like that's
I could be the enabler. Yeah. No, there's very much a thought about it. So what is the definition of community, right? Yeah. What is the definition?
Hit me with it.
So let's take a look at the Disney adult culture, right?
Okay.
And the community itself. It's the shared experiences, the shared memories, bringing something back to your values, which is joy. Joy and happiness is very much a Disney virtue, if you will.
I could take that.
And also, what is the common bond? I always go back to what is the common bond?
Yes.
And for them, it's the mouse. The mouse is the common bond behind all of them. They might not necessarily be hugging all the characters or know all the dance moves to the entire parade, if you will. But it's a really fascinating culture if you think about it.
Yeah.
And the cultures are defined by, in my opinion, three things. Cultures are defined by language, by traditions, whether that be music, food, and art. And then it's also defined by culture, like the tone, the feelings, etc. And that's why I think Disney adults have their own culture, which is why they have such a great community to begin with. So,
and I think there's shared agreements, which I'm going to add into the definition of community. Shared agreements. So in that space, everyone has agreed to hold space and time for make-believe, which might sound silly or sad or whatever, but it's not. It's beautiful. Yeah, because that's what Disney is. It's make-believe. Right? Yeah. It's the fairy tale. It's the happily ever after, though they're switching that, which I appreciate.
Yeah. But and then you got Marvel because, they needed a badass woman flying through the universe named Miss Marvel.
Boom. Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel.
Don't downgrade her title.
Sorry. Jeez. She earned that title. Sorry.
But they've all agreed. We're going to set this time aside to come and wear the princess dress or, whatever it is. Yeah.
It's the thing.
I will say, I will admit, years ago at a holiday event, a community my sister's part of did this huge event for the family, and they had a whole princess makeover room with Disney princesses that they had hired.
Oh my God.
Yes. And you could go in and do all of these things. And one of them was Belle, who is my favorite Disney princess. In fact, everyone in my give me a woman who loves to read and does not need your ass around, like, yes, please. Thank you, Disney princess. Like, that's my fave. And So she was there. And so my mom and I are standing in line to get a picture with Belle. And we get up to the front of the line and she welcomes us and she's looking around for our child that is clearly there to take a picture with her. And I said, no, it's just us. And she was like, oh, okay. And I was like, no. I know you're not really Belle, but I still want a picture with you. And so my mom and I have a picture with a like semi-uncomfortable looking Belle impersonator.
God, that's so funny.
I'm like, why do I have to grow up?
Why do I have to grow? That's a common question asked in community, right?
Why do we have to grow up? And they've decided we don't. Not for this, not when we're in this space.
Yeah.
Not when we're sharing this time. We don't have to. We can prioritize fun and joy and silliness. Mm-hmm. So the shared agreements, common language, shared tradition.
Shared values, right? Okay, so let's think about, moving aside Disney. Let's put that in its mouse ears right
We'd
here.
better, because if we talk about it much longer, we might have a lawsuit of some kind. They are very litigious.
No. They're gonna be proud about the fact that we're talking about them. I would hope so. So I always like to refer back to the Albuquerque business community. I know that sounds very, that's like a business podcast like type of speak.
No.
But like
they've been important.
Oh, 100%. So it's the story of Siarza. So 2014 in November, I woke up on my ex-boyfriend's couch and I said, I just fucking quit my job and a stable pay. This is the day. This is the first day of my new life. And what I didn't anticipate out of sale, like I can remember the grind, right? I knew I had to grind it out. I knew I had to sell my ass off. I knew I had to make sure I had to sell my ass off. Like it was hard. You can giggle all you want, man, but that was really hard in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then executing the quality of work was really hard in the beginning. And so I remember
sitting also. Sorry, you just slide right off.
Yeah. It's just slide right off. We're just like, laying back on my ex-boyfriend's couch, which was not comfortable, by the way.
Was he your ex-boyfriend at the time? I know that's not super relevant to the story, but I just kind of need to know.
No, he was not my ex-boyfriend.
Current boyfriend, now ex.
Yep.
But you were sleeping on his couch.
Yeah, I was sleeping on his couch.
Got it.
And I remember what I didn't anticipate from that moment was the amount of community that came afterwards. So we started the company at Siarza out of Fat Pipe BBQ, the co-working space. And what I liked about it was that at the time, the mayor was Richard Berry, RJ Berry, and the economic development director was an entrepreneur himself, Gary Opendahl. Very much respect those two gentlemen. And so they created this sense of community with not only the Albuquerque ecosystem, but then Stu Rose and Lisa Atkins created this great co-working community called Fat Pipe. And I'd visited there once or twice, and it was only like 2 or 3 months old, and I was like, I want to be in there. I want my business to be in there. I want my desk in there. I want to go there at 10 o'clock at night. Like, this is exactly the community I want to be in. What I didn't realize was that over time, the community ended up being the reason why we're successful today. One of the major reasons why we're successful today is because the community built us. We went from 1 month with 3 clients, another month 10 clients, the following month up to 12 to 15. Like, it was just referral after referral after referral, and it was incredible. And I remember even specifically, so last night I was going through my parents' photos, and especially as I'm preparing for the wedding for family photos. And then all of a sudden I came across this frame that broke, and it was like sitting off, and it was faded. It was the Albuquerque Journal Business Outlook front page piece of myself, Robert Brown, Caleb. He also goes by Caleb. Ari V. Hill, and Danielle Lucero from our team. The 4 of us were on the cover as Albuquerque's young, new business ecosystem.
Cute.
It was so cute. And I don't have the original copy. I mean, the original copy had faded.
Yeah.
But what was really cool about that was like, that was when we first started the company, that was our community. And the community reflected it in that business outlook.
Yeah.
And so that's why I was like, okay, we have to talk about community, because business owners sometimes we forget about how much the community built us. I think that's huge to take into consideration whenever you think about what made you get to where you are. It's not just your team members. It's not just you. It's the community that built you.
Yes.
So
I love that. And you bring up a really good point where you intentionally sought out the community that you wanted to be a part of that would align you with your idea of success. You got to know them a little bit. You were checking them out. You were like, I want to be in here with you people and what y'all are doing.
You people.
You people. You entrepreneur people. We've talked about like we're a species. We are a you people.
Yeah.
We're a bunch of weirdos. You got entrepreneurs in your life, start a support group. Like you're in for a tough ride.
Oh, yes.
So you didn't just take the people around you. Oftentimes, this is a pitfall that a lot of us can get caught in when we're striving, when we're trying, when we're looking to grow, is we just, whoever's around us, we accept and we try to make the best of it. Sometimes we luck out, we have super killer people around us, and that's amazing. But it's unlikely that those around us are going to perfectly align with our goals and our idea of success.
But remember, it's also good to put people that don't align with you.
I was just going to say that. Those are important people for your team.
Yeah.
But we're talking about outside of the team, kind of the team that supports the team, if you will, the peripheral folks, and making sure that those
folks are around you
align with what you're wanting. And that might mean going out and finding them. Yeah. It likely will. And that could be for anything where you're wanting to be successful in business. So you go find people who already are or who are working similar goals towards you, whatever. You have the same values. You have shared traditions. You have agreements, right? Oh, we're all going to come to this co-working space and we're going to rock it. And we're going to do our best to achieve our dreams. Beautiful shared agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I even think about, you start to build communities around people that while they share the common bond, the community might not even exist either, right?
You might have to create the community.
Yeah. We talk about the Asian Business Collaborative and the Asian business community. They've always seemed they never fought against each other, because I remember specifically you were talking about one particular community that was just like they're always against each other.
Yep.
This community, I would say, doesn't know that they're connected or that they share a common bond, but it's also fragmented at the same time, positively fragmented because of the 40 different countries that make the Asian community, right? So how do you build it's like a mosaic, right? It's just like a beautiful mosaic, and that's what community building is. So I also, so back to your point too about Siarza. So one of the things that I think was part of the reason why we invested into having a team member, particularly Alexis. I know you have a really phenomenal role as marketing coordinator, really to talk about, community building from a business development type of lens. I specifically wanted Alexis to be in this role of a community developer because I felt like it was really necessary for us to have somebody that can be the point person for the community, take donations, give donations, have the time to volunteer on our behalf, be an excellent representative of us. Also fits that calm, collected, cool vibe, even though I'm nuts. Have that
it's the balance. It's that harmony.
I can't tell you how much I really appreciate that balance. But Alexis is phenomenal at really like outreaching to the community. But I don't think companies think about what that community developer looks like. Most importantly, small businesses.
Yes.
People don't realize how much important it is to have the contribution back to the community, because you have to support the community that built you.
Yes.
Which is what we try to do.
You talk a lot about climbing back down the ladder and helping bring people up and holding on to that humble recognition that you didn't get there on your own, whether we talk about up or down the path, however we want to look at it. And I find that most small business owners, most people that are working towards their dream, they're not jerks. They're not selfish. It's just really hard and all-consuming. And so they keep growing and aligning with new levels of success. And then that becomes the all-consuming thing. And there can be forgetfulness to actually pause and incorporate the people that helped you get there each step of the way. And that's something that you do really well. You never forget. You do hold a sense of humility where you're not like, and look at what I've done. And I know we're going to be talking about ego in one of our upcoming episodes, so we'll dive more into that. But this notion like, look at what we've done, and let's make sure we help everyone who brought us here.
But you bring up a really fascinating pivot point in the conversation, though, that you particularly, Jace Downey, have brought. Who, me?
I was like, is this the royal you? No, actually me. All right, hit me with it.
You've brought people together from an area where they least expected to find community, right? You're the addiction recovery mode. You have to talk about how people forget too that in places where you feel like you're alone or places where you feel like you need to talk to somebody, that's community building at its core root, right?
And it's some of the most important when you're going through difficult things or you're in an area where, and I can't tell you and I know my area that I come from and work in and speak on is sex addiction. I know that makes people really uncomfortable, especially in our country, but it's a thing. And it's highly stigmatized. Not just the addiction component of it, but the recovery part of it too. And so people end up feeling incredibly alone. And you cannot succeed in anything, including well-being, alone. And so I get so many emails of people being like, oh my gosh, I heard you speak, I saw a video, and I think I'm dealing with the same thing. And it's like, it's you and me out here in the world, and we're the only two that are experiencing this. I'm like, no. There's a ton of people, but the hardest thing in that space is indeed community, because there's shame, because there's fear, because there's the stigma that's included in it. And so there's this notion, and I held it too, no one will ever accept me. If people really know who I am, they'll hate me. They'll reject me. And so there's this built-in barrier in these spaces where shame's involved. And that doesn't have to be addiction. It can come from a lot of things that you don't believe there is community.
Sometimes I think, though, and specifically in that space, sometimes I think that community is more supportive than your own family.
Oh, 100%. In areas that are hard to understand, and addiction is one of them, because from the outside, you look insane. Because you are insane. The actual operating procedure that's going on internally kind of makes you insane, right?
Yeah.
And I remember when I first recognized, also in 2014. Those were pivotal years. Yeah. Interestingly enough, in 2014, I realized this is, there's this issue going on.
You're 27, 28, right?
I was 27. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the pinnacle year.
Saturn return, baby.
Yeah. There you go.
There's something to it.
I was going to say, I don't know, Sailor Saturn or something like that, Sailor Moon.
There's something to it. Those late 20s, you're kind of moving into who you are. You're figuring out your kind of big issues.
Yeah.
So I found there is a community for this. Yeah. And so I was going to go check it out. And I'm not kidding. I honestly, and I know this is super ridiculous, but I thought I was going to walk into a dank basement with a bunch of weirdos in trench coats who hadn't washed their hair in 3 weeks. I don't know what I was thinking. But I just had this mental picture of people that deal with sex addiction are super gross and whatever.
A dungeon.
I know. I was like, what am I somehow there's a dripping happening at all times. I don't know why, but that's part of it. It's damp. There's going to be dampness for some reason. Anyway, I walk into the room and I literally just stopped and I looked around and I thought, oh, I'm in the wrong place. Because it was just everyday people, your neighbor, your doctor, your grandma.
Oh, wow.
It just was everyday people. And I literally was gonna awkwardly walk backwards. And they were like, no, you're in the right place. Because they knew. They're like, yeah, we see your face there and we see what's going on. They're like, you're in the right place. And so I weirdly sat down and it was so uncomfortable. I was just at my absolute last resort. That was a suicide. And I listened to these people and I realized they're going through the same thing. Something that I thought was completely my own, a suffering only I'd known, was shared.
Yeah.
And I still thought, but I'm worse. Y'all don't actually know. Everybody thinks this. It's embarrassing how cliche this is. We all think, well, no, but I'm the worst one. And what I found there was acceptance no matter what. I got to be a total mess. I got to be flawed. I got to try again. I got to fall on my face.
Yeah.
When I least thought I deserved love and acceptance, they gave it to me anyway.
That's what community is.
It saved my life.
Yeah.
100%. And in fact, we just gonna cry in every episode now. It's gonna be our new thing. I got a text message a couple of days ago from a man who our sobriety dates are one day apart.
Oh, that's sweet.
And so we always shared a bond while we were in this community because we would celebrate right at the same time. So for years we shared this bond, and it was this knowing that we were brother and sister in this. And I got to know his wife, and they're just wonderful people, and we were both very involved in this community. And then I left the community. It wasn't aligned with me anymore. I left Austin. We once I stepped out of the community, I lost touch with a lot of people. And I got a text a couple of days ago from him and his wife. Mm-hmm. And they said, hey, we were talking about you over dinner. We've been thinking a lot about you. And we figured, it's been 3 years since we've talk to Jace.
Oh, wow.
How are you doing?
Yeah.
How's life? We hold you in our hearts always. You're so important to us. Like, it was so, so sweet. It just, so it's like, even though I left the community and what, like, there's still love there for me.
Yeah, but that's a perfect example, though. You didn't leave the community.
I physically left.
You physically left.
Yeah.
But mentally, you're still very much a part of it, and you always will be a part of it. Like,
my spirit is there.
Oh, 100%, right? And you know, when we talk about, eventually we're going to talk about identity, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think communities shape your ways of friending people, people keeping close to you, people that you keep at a distance.
Yep.
People that if you see them again after 5 years, it's nice to catch up with them, right? You get that text message. I think, you know, very sweet, very genuine conversations or text messages or whatever it is like that exemplify what a beautiful community is. Along the same lines, there was and thank you for sharing that. There was a person that I had started to meet. Some of you know that I like to crew for hot air balloons, and very much understanding a little bit more about the community in various different ways because of from crewing, from sitting on the board of the Quad A, one of the hot air ballooning associations. One guy said to me, "Hot air ballooning saved my life," and I said, "What?
You mean it risked your life?"
Yeah. I mean, you put yourself in the basket, you go like 9,000 feet. Like, how did they do that?
And then just like, ooh, the wind.
It was his escape. And I won't share too much of his story out of sake of his privacy. But that's an example of stories like that.
Yep.
That you never know what brings you joy, what brings you happiness, what brings you peace. And it can be your community. It can be your tribe or your group of people. And you become friends, you become family. Like, at the wedding, my wedding, there are probably going to be 5 different communities in that room at that museum because of the various different communities I stay in, like the hot air ballooning community, the business community, the Siarza family, then my family and my family friends, and then Spencer's family, Spencer's family, and then the kickball community. That kickball community is definitely a shit show in more ways than one, in a great way.
I was going to say in wonderful ways.
In wonderful ways.
Yeah.
Like, communities just really define a person. They define a person.
They do.
Absolutely define a person.
They help define, and they help us find our own definition. I think good communities allow. They allow us to be where we're at. They allow us to be who we are. They allow us to figure it out, allow us to stumble and pick ourselves back up, allow us to try on different versions of who we are.
Yeah.
Because if we're doing it right, we're continuously growing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know, there'll be a time where I'm like, and the end. Like, and then this is who I am. Like,
in the end.
And you're welcome.
And
like,
scene.
and this is it. Yeah, right? Like, I guess death. I don't. And then who knows after that? But they allow that space. So I think that safety component where you get to be who you are, whatever that means, that is the greatest gift anyone can give us or that we can ever give anyone. To just allow them to be who they are. Hell, even celebrate it if you got it in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the aspects of community I wanted to kind of talk about was, what is the importance of reputation in the community? And the reason why that's so, I want to pinpoint that for a minute.
Yeah.
Is because I remember I talked about this in a previous episode. Like, I didn't tell the hot air ballooning community that I owned my own business.
That's right.
I was just a normal gal that would show up in a Ricky Bobby t-shirt with a couple gloves. I swear to God, that's what I would do. I never drove B.
Yeah.
My Camaro, because I didn't want them to be like, oh, this bitch has money. I wanted them to have a certain perception of me, which is the true perception of me. I'm just
Are you saying the Subaru is your spirit vehicle?
My Subaru is not only my spirit vehicle, it's like the one that can actually go through dirt.
Yeah.
I can chase it.
True story. Yeah. My Xterra is definitely my spirit vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
100%. So, you know, in that instance, like, what is the importance of reputation in a community? I want to hear your thoughts on that.
I'm finding I'm immediately swapping the word reputation for integrity.
Yeah. Oh, that's not. I think that's not a swap. That's like a
synonym or
direct. Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm hearing.
It's like peanut butter and jelly.
Those are very different things. They hold very different purposes in life.
They're
Please explain.
They're meant to be together.
Girl, I'm not putting jelly on my peanut butter and banana situation.
Did everybody
We've come to an impasse. This is the end of story, success, and stuff. We broke up.
Good night.
One of us did not make it past this episode. I can get down on a good jelly. But I don't think they have to go together.
I'm so embarrassed.
Point of contention.
I did not know this. Anyways,
All
so
right.
we think about
integrity and reputation.
peanut butter and jelly and a banana.
I don't want any of that situation. For me, I want to make sure that who I am in the community is who I am outside of the community, is who I am in my regular life. Like, I don't want to hide any of the things where I might show, obviously, if I'm in a professional setting, no, I probably will still sing Powerline as I was doing this.
That.
I was,
100%.
But I can bring the different versions of myself that are not different. Mm-hmm. So for me, my reputation is important that people go, oh yeah, that is who she is. Like when we had our intern with us a couple weeks ago for recording, she told me afterwards, and it was like, oh, this is success for me. She was like, you're the same on camera as you are off camera. But she was like really surprised, and I was like, yep. And she's like, and you and Kristelle just talk on camera like you talk off camera. And I'm like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, what are we going to be like? And now, like, I don't even know how to be like professional. Yeah. Like, I don't know how to do this.
I'm Ron Burgundy.
And and thank you for joining us. Like, I need to do the Captain Morgan stance for some reason is what my brain's telling me. Like, I can't kick my leg up that high in this. But anyway, that was really important to me because my reputation aligns with my integrity. And someone from the outside went, huh, so you're just the same everywhere? And I'm like, yep, pretty much. So for me, that's the importance of reputation.
Yeah. No, there's a couple people even that they have binged the podcast. Very grateful to those folks besides our moms.
I don't think my mom has binged it. Girl's busy.
Yeah,
mine is stuff going on.
Our moms don't even listen. And they said the same thing too. It's like, oh no, it sounds like you. Mm-hmm. That's very much you. And I think from the reason of reputation, like obviously being in public relations, reputation is a big major factor into the success of certain outcomes, right?
Yes.
Depending if you're doing a crisis or not a crisis. And so I find it very fascinating to me that I very much I put a lot of pressure on myself to make sure my reputation is solid. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of mistakes that I've made that I've beat myself up because of the mistakes that I've made that have hurt my reputation. The reputation of the agency, in fact. Because let's face it, like I very much understand the responsibility of my last name on the wall. Mm-hmm. And I need to make sure that I tell the team and I instruct the team that how they treat our clients should be how I would treat the client. Yeah. Right. And so that reputation in business or in our business community is incredibly important. Incredibly important. Even with people that seem like, oh well, I don't really interact with clients. I don't really interact with certain people. And I'm like, okay, you're still a reflection of Siarza.
Always.
And most importantly, a reflection of you.
Yeah.
I hired you because you're a good person. Not just the skill set, but like I would definitely like go up to bat for you.
Yeah.
You know, take a bullet for you. Like I don't want to be surrounded around people. I'm sure you don't either. That are assholes.
You're like, I just want to punch you in the throat.
Yeah, no. God, no, like that was really relieving to say too. Like you just don't want to surround yourself around negative people, right? Everybody here is a genuine person at the company. Yes. Well, even if they're like a joking asshole or a lovable asshole, that's totally acceptable here.
If that's who you are and you're going to own it,
yeah,
also fine. One of my most respected people I've ever worked for, he was an asshole, but he didn't apologize for it, and it wasn't personal. Yeah, he just called it how it was. He did not sugarcoat things, and I was like, I liked that. You always knew where you stood with him. Yeah. So if that's who you are, also fine. You get to be part of it too, but be aware of it. and
it brings up a good point too. Every community has a cast of characters, and there's always a cast of a character that's like the token asshole. Yeah, the really sweet one. There's always the follower. There's always like it's always a really fascinating, dynamic whenever you put a community together.
I'm immediately wondering in our team who's who.
We'll do a squad podcast part 2.
A squadcast?
The squadcast.
Yeah. Yes. Got it in there. Well,
So we talk about, serving the community, how important it is. We talked about reputation.
Yeah.
We talked about giving back down to the ladder. You have a really good, important part to self-mastery, how important that is whenever it comes to building a community. Talk about that for a minute. Like what, in terms of succeeding, in terms of finding who you are, the definition of yourself, the identity of yourself, can you do it without a community?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Easy answer. Yeah. No. And the name is a little, sounds like a contradiction, right? Self-mastery.
Yeah.
We are indeed mastering the self. And that cannot be done alone. I've said it before, and I'll say it 1,000 more times as long as we continue. We can survive alone. We cannot thrive alone.
Yeah.
We can't. And that's not any personal thing. Humans were designed and developed in community. Back in the day, we were surrounded by community all the time. We lived in smaller communities, certainly, which made them very personal. But we learned, cried, laughed, celebrated, did our triumphs, did our trials. We did everything in community. And it is how we are designed. It's how we've evolved. And now, with the way that our lives are set up in the world, and we have gone into little baby units of just you and your family, or you and your spouse, or whatever, not you, but just the world.
Yeah.
We've cut out the community component. And then we're why are we struggling? Why are things so difficult? Why is disease up? Why are we have more suffering than ever? And it's well, we've taken something very natural and cut ourselves off from it. You want to thrive, have an intentional community around you that is in service to you, just naturally by who's involved in the community, and that you're very intentionally in service to.
So you bring up a point, so let's talk about our 30s for a second. Hear me out.
I love my 30s.
Oh, I thought I loved my fucking 20s.
I
love my 30s.
I'm grateful for my 20s.
Very grateful for my 20s too.
I don't know that I love them, but I am grateful.
So in our 30s, a lot of my friends, a lot of my family, they're starting to nest just like I am. They might have nested a little bit sooner, especially after they have a kid. They get married, me getting married and having a kid in a very different timeline. But I noticed there's a couple of our friends that I noticed they're not really surrounding themselves around a community, or maybe I just don't see their sense of community. You brought up a really good point. I worry about them.
Yes.
Right?
Anyone who does not have some involvement in a community is a red flag to me. If I'm meeting someone, I'll hear them out. I'll hang for sure. There might be reasons for that. There usually are. They might be self-conscious. They might have problems in their lives. I noticed that the people that resurrect themselves out of bad relationships, they throw themselves into a community that they've never been in before, or they're looking to join. And when they start to join those spaces, they come alive. Thriving. Yeah. You got to do it in community. And we have scientific research behind this, which I love. I'll take anecdotes all day long. Yeah. There's proof there too, right? But we actually study this now, and we see it in the people experiencing homelessness population, where when we're looking to make big change and even in multi-generational change, the programs that are successful involve community. So it's not just about having a home for someone. That's super important to being healthy and successful, is having somewhere safe. Yes, 100%. But that has never been the solution. And they've tried it, housing vouchers and all these things. And then the problem just keeps coming back around. And what they're finding, what they're testing and have proof around, programs like the Jeremiah program or Hope Village here in town, is community has to be a part of it for real change to happen and to stick. So it is required now in these holistic programs that are working to end homelessness and to end the cycle of generational poverty. It is required that you are part of the community. They have community events, they have community learning, and they have everything developed around the community there, because it is the only way that they have shown consistent success with making huge life changes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very powerful. Yeah. Community change lives. Yay!
Be in community.
Yeah, be in community for sure.
It's the genuinely only way to succeed.
Yeah. I think that's a really good founding element note, or an ending element note. I do kind of want to summarize what we talked about today. We talked about climbing down the ladder, super important to success, something that we believe in here at Siarza.
Being in service to the community, for sure.
Being in service to the community, how hard it's really difficult to succeed. That
impossible.
The story of the homelessness and just the thought of, looking at individuals that might not be in a community, very important. Reputation, such a big thing.
Yep.
In terms of building community, or as you said, integrity.
Yeah.
Sans peanut butter and jelly. We're going to have to talk about that offline.
I was like, my life can't be sans peanut butter because like at least 30% of my diet is literally peanut butter on a spoon. Not kidding. Girl's real lazy in the kitchen.
And most importantly, how the community helped build Siarza and our success. And we couldn't have built, and we try to give back to the community that built us. I think that's really important. So,
absolutely.
Thanks for being here with me, as always.
Thank you.
Thanks to everybody for listening to Stories, Success, and Stuff. Don't forget to subscribe to your favorite podcasting tool, channels, etc. Subscribe to Siarza at Stories, Success, and Stuff. Or you can find more information at siarza.com. We are very, very grateful for you being here. Our next topic for next week.
I was going to do a drum roll, but then Justin would get real mad at what that does to the microphone.
It's going to blow on the mic, and so here he is. Like,
I can feel him breathing. Like, I see you, girl. Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Drum roll, please. That's way less cool. Go.
Ego. The Beyonce song "Ego" that's the song that's in my head instead of Livewire.
Okay. Guardians of the Galaxy character named Ego is what came into my mind.
Oh, that's a good one too. That's a really good one too. I'm very grateful for you all being here, and look forward to having you join us next week on Stories, Success, and Stuff.